Oklahoma's oil and gas industry is booming, and industry backers say much of the credit for that goes to generous state tax incentives. With a tax credit for horizontal drilling set to expire next year, lawmakers are considering changes to Oklahoma's oil and gas tax policy. Supporters of the tax credit maintain it's needed to keep the industry thriving, while critics argue the state can no longer afford the lost revenue.
Oklahoma levies a 7% tax on vertically drilled oil and gas wells, but nearly 2 decades ago, the legislature created a tax credit for horizontal drilling that cuts those taxes to 1% for the first 48 months of production. The credit was meant to encourage horizontal drilling at a time when the technique was rarely used and considered financially risky. Oklahoma Independent Petroleum Association President Mike Terry says the incentive has stimulated drilling.
More wells means more jobs, more activity in rural Oklahoma. It means more production, and that production, most of it is taxed at the 7% rate, so it means more taxes for the state, not less. When other states in this country were going through the recession, Oklahoma just kept going. We just kept drilling wells. We did great. We've seen a thriving Oklahoma do so well, and a large part of that is due to this industry. And so why take a chance and change that?
The OIPA this week sponsored a rally for the rigs at the state capitol to send a message to lawmakers who the organization believes are taking the oil and gas industry for granted.
They just see us as a bunch of deep pockets. They think government, if it's going to grow larger, it should be on our backs, your backs.
According to Terry, the oil and gas industry already contributes more than a quarter of all tax revenue collected in the state and remains the backbone of Oklahoma's economy.
What industry provides the best white-collar and blue-collar jobs in the state of Oklahoma? That's right, we do. What industry contributes the most to education? Yeah. Who contributes the most to museums, hospitals, and all the charities in this state? That's right.
Independent oil producer Mike Cantrell says the rally for the rigs was not a protest.
We're just here to remind our legislative friends, as they take up policies, that they be reminded of how important our industry is and how the actions they take. We want to make sure they don't create any unintended harm.
State Representative Leslie Osborne argues letting the tax credit expire would be devastating to Oklahoma's economy.
When you take away those incentives, you will lose the business that kept us here through the recession making it. And I'm telling you that if we are not friendly to them, they will pick up and drill other places. And there is nothing besides energy keeping every 77 counties of this state going.
But Oklahoma Policy Institute Executive Director David Blatt says the credit will cost state government an estimated $252 million this year.
These tax breaks are coming at the expense of funding for our schools, for public safety, for health care, for environmental protection and regulation, for other critical services that really are key to the prosperity of the state.
Blatt argues the credit is not only costly, it's unnecessary.
Unnecessary in that the companies are going to drill where the reserves are, where there is a skilled labor force, where there is good access to market. In North Dakota, the effective rate when you take all the taxes on horizontal drilling is 11.3% compared to 2.3% in Oklahoma. And guess what? They're drilling like mad in North Dakota.
A poll released this week by the Oklahoma Policy Institute shows 64% of Oklahomans surveyed support eliminating the incentive in order to provide more funding for education, public safety, highways, and other state needs. Before the legislative session began, House Speaker Pro Tem Mike Jackson told reporters there was support within the Republican caucus for making the tax credit permanent.
Whenever you're talking about the drilling that is currently going in Oklahoma, I think that they currently employ 300,000 people. If you look at 1 in 6 Oklahomans are employed by the oil and gas industry, so it is very, very important to make sure that moving forward we are continuing to encourage that.
More than 2 months into the session, lawmakers have yet to come to an agreement on the tax incentive.
My understanding that those conversations have kind of broken down. I think we'll see a bill come out that increases the gross production back to close to where it was, and I will do everything I can to fight that.
While several Shell bills, which could serve as a vehicle for a tax credit agreement, are still alive, lawmakers could put off a decision until the 2015 legislative session.